This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation Pop Experience. The double dip continues here on Pop Goes to the Couch. We have two streaming series. We're on the one that drops on Thursdays on HBOmax. That is Peacemaker. Today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 5, Monkey Dory. So the titles get even more crazy and interesting. We got the three quarters of the crew again is here. Scott Shifflett on assignment. We sent him to go find some butterfly goo and report back on what it tastes like. But Shawn Kidd is here. Hey, Shawn.
Hey, good evening, guys. It's good to finally be here to talk about Peacemaker. I haven't been able to be on the other episodes, so happy to be here tonight.
All right. And Tim Capel's here as well.
Yeah, missing Scott, certainly, but looking forward to finding out if we really want to taste it as we get into Peacemaker Episode 5. And welcome back to Shawn.
All right, well, since Shawn has not been here to talk about the first 4 episodes, Shawn, floor is yours. Talk about the series, what you've loved, anything you may not have liked, some highlights, lowlights. What do you think of the first half? Because I think it's an 8-episode season. What do you think of the first half so far?
Yeah, to piggyback on what Tim said, I really do want to taste it. Listen, the first episode, right from the start, I love this show. Just to be quite frank, it's the hero part of it, the goofy part of it. It's, you know what? It's all the things that, for me, the movie Shazam fails at. But it's also, this is the right setting for the show to be like that. It's supposed to be goofy. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to have flawed characters in it, and I don't think there's anyone in this show that's not flawed in some way, shape, or form. James Gunn, I think one of my favorite things in all this stuff has been, I think we were talking, I love the soundtrack, which is pretty on brand with James Gunn, as we see that in Guardians. From the opening credits, just really, really into a really, really bad dance to the point of where you just can't take your eyes off of what's happening in that. It's the story narrative is, we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that bug me. I will tell you one of the things that bug me, the butterfly thing, even though it's an interesting concept, I think I've said it in our group chat, there's a lot of similarities to me. Maybe I'm stretching a little bit when I say this. A lot about the Skrulls where, they're somebody they're not really supposed to be, and they're taking over people's bodies. But as far as the concept and the character work on this show, you start out the show with Peacemaker not being a real sympathetic character, and as you go on, you learn his family life. His dad being this really, really horrible person, obviously. And then the other characters, too, to the daughter of Amanda Waller, to Harcourt, the kind of supporting crew. Vigilante is a really welcome, nice surprise. I think he's one of my favorite part of the shows as well. So overall, I really, really, truly enjoyed the show so far, Andy, to sum it up.
All right, great. And great to finally have you here for a review. All right, so the episode opens up with Peacemaker joining the team for a debriefing from Myrn about the butterfly threat, in which the leader tells them all they need to know about the creatures. Myrn is certainly an expert on the subject, given he is a butterfly himself. Not that the team is aware of this at this point. During the briefing, Peacemaker goes on a friendly rant berating Economos for his PowerPoint presentation, his beard, and the fact that he sent his dad to prison by swapping their fingerprints earlier in the season. So hot start here with I could only hope that it was improv, all the names that Peacemaker rattles off. But Shawn, what did you think of the opening of this episode?
I thought it was hysterical, and I hate myself for saying this because, you can say a lot of things about John Cena. One of my favorite things of John Cena, I do believe John Cena is a really good character actor, because if you ever watched Total Bellas and watched his heel performance on that show, you could truly appreciate what a great actor he is. But I will tell you, I was amazed as he's just going at it back and forth with Economos about, his dad and the other people that he could have had done, but instead he did this. I mean, that would be a hard amount of script to remember. So if that was like free basing it, holy shit, this I was dying laughing during this whole scene. It was really well done. Really well.
Yeah, all the dead or alive, and just
Yes.
a shit ton of '80s references, which of course, you and I pop for, Sean, since we're old fucks. Tim,
Yeah, and even Economos himself, his reaction. I mean,
Yeah.
this is just a really good back and forth in general. So, yeah.
All right, Tim.
Yeah, I have to imagine that scene was improvised, and they probably just had Cena rattle off all these names and just kept it going for as long as he could, and I'm sure it got increasingly ridiculous, and they just took the best take. We see some evidence of that in the if you can call it a post-credit scene, where I guess it's just an outtake from that little exchange. So that was a lot of fun. I have to say, our opening to this episode, where we see Chris, not so much Peacemaker, but Chris, the man, he's downing a raw egg, being going through the motions of what you do when you're this macho bodybuilder dude obsessed with peace by any means. But he seems quite despondent. I mean, you're seeing somebody like really in the depths of it, and it's just such a contrast to his outward presentation, the way he's interacting with his coworker, so to speak, socially, and you can tell he's just putting up that front, and the only person he's kind of dropped it around would be Adebayo at this point, and that relationship is going to continue throughout this episode, which is, on one hand, nice to see. On another hand, a little bit tragic given what happens. So we will get to that. But just really solid character work by Cena. I continue to be impressed by his acting chops, and I shouldn't be. I mean, that should come as no surprise, honestly.
And one thing I'll add is I do like, what I forgot to mention the opening scene. I love him just sitting on the porch with Eagly. Like, that just was,
just
on the spot, his best. Just hanging out with Eagly, that was just great. So Eagly's his best bud, and I will also say the CGI
trying to cheer him up.
But CGI on Eagly's really done well too, by the way, because they do a really good job with that. So I forgot to mention that in the opening, Andy. Sorry.
Well, they had an eagle hug him, basically. That was cool.
I know, it's crazy how good the CGI is.
Amazing.
All right. So afterwards, the team sets off to stake out the warehouse in a laying the pipe plumbing truck, no less. They pair off to, it's funny seeing a hardcore and Adebayo doing rock, paper, scissors. Adebayo wins somehow, and we don't really know what was the stakes on that. I'll have to figure it out. Peacemaker and Adebayo go into the front, hardcore and Vigilante sneak in the back. Doesn't take long for the shooting to start. Peacemaker begins firing straight off the bat because he uses his helmet's X-ray vision to see who is being controlled by a butterfly and who isn't. We'll get more on that later. Meanwhile, at the back of the building, Hardcore and Vigilante discover the facility is being used to distribute the goop-like food that butterflies eat. When they investigate further, they draw the attention of the aliens. The duo try to fend off the creatures, but are attacked by a mysterious assailant. Peacemaker and Adebayo arrive on the scene and blow up the butterflies. When Adebayo goes looking for Hardcore and Vigilante, though, she is attacked by the assailant and thwarted by the other two, a talking silverback gorilla. All four team members try to fight off the gorilla with varying success, mainly because the beast has enhanced strength and barely seems to notice their shots or knife attacks. The group are rescued by Economos, who arrives just in time to save Peacemaker from a gruesome end by using a chainsaw to kill the gorilla. The scene is pretty graphic, but ensures Economos finally gets some recognition and respect from the supervillain. So this was quite the sequence of scenes here. I really jumped when he started blowing away the butterflies off the bat with the X-ray vision. Tim, what did you think of the action here?
Oh boy! So when they showed the preview for this episode, when I watched that, we got a glimpse of what this scene was going to actually consist of. I figured, if anything, they would save that for the climax of the episode. You want to build up to that. But man, we hit the ground running, and it's, as you said, it's extremely intense, extremely graphic. Good use of again, these various helmets that Peacemaker has in his possession now. That the X-ray feature allows him to suss them out, and he's just fucking blowing them away. But my God, when you see just how many crates, how many boxes of this food stuff that the butterflies are consuming. It's like, how many of these things must be in place? I mean, I guess we got a sense of that when they showed them on the map, at least showed the viewers just all the dots, all the butterflies all over the world. I mean, these things are just embedded everywhere. The gorilla scene was both hilarious and terrifying and ultimately disgusting. Nice to see John get a little bit more shine, becoming quite the physical presence, shockingly, in this team after bludgeoning Judo Master a couple episodes ago and chainsawing the gorilla in half here. Great stuff.
Yeah, after Vigilante was told he couldn't take the chainsaw in.
Yes.
I immediately popped because I was like, well, first I was terrified we were going to get a gorilla garage, but no, as soon as I see the gorilla, I'm like, no shit. I got the little hamsters running in the wheel in my head. It's like, shit, that was the news story we saw in his father's house when he first showed up in episode 1, that there was an escaped gorilla.
This was foreshadowed, actually.
A nice little payoff. Shawn, what do you think of this scene?
This was just balls to the walls. Like, just from the minute they walked into the facility, and you brought up, like, he just walked in, and he's just casually talking there next to what's her name? I can't pronounce it. Adebayo, I guess.
Adebayo.
And he casually talked, and then all of a sudden he just freaking pulls out his shotgun and just starts blowing people's heads off. It was amazing.
And he blows all people's heads, and she shoots them after they're dead.
Yeah, and I was going to say, that's his. She's late to the game, so she starts shooting into him after he's already blown their heads off. It was great. The gorilla was fantastic. I love. Yeah, I love the vigilante scene where he's like, well, I want to kill someone with a chainsaw, and then, obviously he doesn't get to do it, but the other guy gets to do it, and he's so sad because he didn't get to commit murder with a chainsaw. It was great. Just like I said, just pure action scene of the whole entire of this quasi Suicide Squad, just taking out all these butterflies, taking out the gorilla, and discovering this warehouse of all the goop. This was just an absolutely fantastic scene. And by the way, I also don't want to negate the fact that when they were driving to this warehouse, John Cena and his love for 80s heavy metal music and the disgust of hardcore was also very funny.
Yeah.
So,
it's curricular homicide, I guess we might call it. And he just invented this morning the grenade with the bomb on it.
Yes. Yes. And this scene was so this is just like pure graphic violence at its best. It was just so graphic. It was great.
And the slow motion of Adebayo and Peacemaker jumping with the explosion behind. Economos is sitting in the truck like, what the fuck is going on out there? Oh, so good. Oh, so great. All right, so after their ordeal, Peacemaker and the crew take a well-deserved rest. Myrn tells them they can try to find the source of the butterfly's food at a later date because tonight they should relax. The team starts bonding after all their arguments, and Harcourt even creates a WhatsApp group chat for them to send a team picture she took after the mission. It's all very sweet, and only gets sweeter when Peacemaker asks Adebayo to join him for a celebratory drink. Adebayo gives the supervillain advice on his romantic interest in Harcourt, and he also tells him that he doesn't need to act like a bully to push people away from him. And that's where the sweet moment ends, because when Peacemaker goes to the bathroom, Adebayo plants the diary she was given by her mother in his home. For what purpose, we should now no doubt see later in the series. So, Shawn, what do you think of this? We get the post mission. Everybody's relaxing, having a drink here, but we got a little bonding. But, Amanda Waller's presence is always felt.
Yeah, so the afterglow of the Great Butterfly Massacre, right out of the gate when they're all driving back, the said music that they were listening to on the way there that they hated, they were all jamming to on the way back out. You could just see that, it's like they're bonding over this crazy bullshit that just happened, and I thought that was really cool. And they're starting to become like a team, right? I also loved when Peacemaker asked her to go into his place for a drink. She's like, I ain't fucking you. And I was like, it was so funny. But at the end of the day, you could just see these relationships building. Obviously, Peacemaker feels a certain bond with Adebayo. And, it's kind of sad because you can see she's really torn in what she has to do with this diary, which we still don't know what the main purpose of it is. I assume it's to frame him or put him under the bus once this mission's over. But it'll be interesting to see how this relationship pays out, because you can actually see that Adebayo is very torn. And she does have feelings as far as a very strong friendship with Chris here. So really, really good stuff. Great character work and just really well done.
I love how they don't really clean the blood off themselves from the gorilla.
Oh, yeah. They're just randomly standing there. They're just blood-soaked, drinking beer on the couch. Yeah. Yeah.
It's awesome. All right, Tim.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy seeing the team actually celebrate a rare win here. Even Harcourt is it's sort of softening with the group chat that she sets up, and just willing to drop her very rough exterior. And she might be sitting in a bar alone throwing down drinks, but she's going to be in a better mood than we've seen her in that setting in previous episodes, certainly. I tell you what, Adebayo, for as likable of a character as she is, really following in her mother's footsteps, right? This is a total Amanda Waller move. She's doing Amanda's bidding, and she seems very conflicted about it, certainly, but she still goes through with it. So she's setting this guy up. You got to figure there's probably no love loss for her and Peacemaker when it comes to just his history and his attitudes. He's pretty much been presented up until this point as like an out and out racist. And it's like she's now getting to know him as a person and seeing that a lot of that stuff is not so much him. It's coming from his father, and he's kind of doing a performance, right, of the person he thinks he's supposed to be. But below all of that, he's somebody else entirely, and she's kind of figuring that out. But she goes ahead and plants that diary. We're going to see how that comes into play eventually, I guess. And I also got a kick out of the disgusting drink that he made her. I'm trying to remember what was in it, but it seemed absolutely vile before they just settle on, we'll crack a few beers.
That's one of those things.
Good to see these moments of downtime. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, that's back in my bartending days. New York bars were open until 4 a.m. So like comes around 3 o'clock and hardly anybody's in the bar but your friends. It's like, all right, let's play. What can we make from this combination?
Yeah.
So that's what that sounds like. That's where that came from. But this write-up, though, that I'm using, neglected to include this meeting that Myrn has with this guy by the name of Locke, I guess, who he plants inside the police force to keep Augie Smith in jail, because the cops figure out that it's not his fingerprints, that he says that it's actually his son's fingerprints. So I'm still trying to get a read on Myrn and what he's really up to here.
Right.
Shawn, what do you think's going on here with them trying to keep Augie Smith in prison?
I haven't figured it out yet, what's going on with Myrn, and maybe this cliffhanger we'll talk about here in a minute will shed some light when we open in our next episode of really what's the deal with this guy. At the end of the day, I would probably want to keep him in jail too. He's a real piece of shit, right? So, but ultimately, maybe it's because they have a plan for Peacemaker. They don't want him to go to jail, there could be many, many things here going on as to why they want to keep him in jail. But the most obvious reason for me is that they need Chris out here doing what he's doing, and if he goes to jail, he can't help him. That would be probably my main guess, but other than that, I have no idea.
Plus, we also get a return of Amber and her husband from
yes.
earlier episode as well. Tim, what do you think's going on with Myrn planting somebody in the police force to keep Augie in jail?
Yeah, I don't know. Like everything we see Myrn do ever since the reveal that he is a butterfly, you sort of have to interpret through that lens, right? It's how does this have anything to do with him being one of the secret invaders, as it were? But this is the type of thing that, like, whether he's a butterfly or not, it seems like a very Myrn thing to do based on what little we've seen of his actual character. It just seems like he would want to keep Augie in jail just to throw these detectives off the scent and, keep Peacemaker on his team under his thumb. So it may not have anything to do with him being a butterfly, but it's hard to read it any other way. So I'm not really sure how that all connects. But suffice to say, yeah, I think it's best for everyone that Augie stays right where he is. Although he seems to command quite a lot of power in that prison, so that could potentially blow up in everyone's face.
All right, so it's called a Peacemaker, I believe. A Peacekeeper is the drink. It's gin, vermouth, vinegar, peppercorn, a little maple syrup, and yak butter.
Oh, yes, yak butter.
Yak butter. What?
He had to use normal butter because yak butter
and vinegar. Yeah.
Yeah, I am not a gin guy at all. And vermouth, vinegar, no. That's for salad dressing. So, yeah, I've made some crazy concoctions in my life, and no. I don't know if you remember the movie Hot Dog. Sean probably does.
Oh my God!
There was a drink they make, and they called the leg splitter, which was basically rum, bourbon, vodka, and tequila or something. It was like all it was straight booze and disgusting. And this girl just downs it. It's hysterical. Oh, gotta see if that's streaming for Laugh in Theater. God help us. All right. So after leaving Peacemaker to sell Hot Dog the Motion Picture, have you ever seen it?
Hot Dog the Motion. I've heard of it, but
It's a ski movie, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Hamburger the Motion Picture, which actually took place at a hamburger college.
Oh my God.
Yes, Tim, the things that you learn on this show. All right, so after leaving Peacemaker to his celebrations, Adebayo goes back to the team's office and in a slightly inebriated state puts on Peacemaker's helmet. As soon as she did, I was like, oh, shit. Mm-hmm. And here's one thing, though, okay? I'll mention that after. She activates the X-ray vision for fun and looks around only to discover that Myrn is a butterfly. In a dramatic turn of events, Myrn chases her out of the building, and the episode ends on a cliffhanger with the leader glaring at a fallen Adebayo in the rain. So these helmets of his are extremely dangerous in the hands of wrong people. Like, I would think that it's kind of like voice activated or something, like only he could set it off. I mean, obviously, we're not going to get her learning about Myrn here if that was possible, but Q would never let that happen. I'm just saying. Tim, what do you think of the end of this? Were you like basically like honestly for the first time? Some of the kills in this have been pretty like you kind of make you jump a little bit, a couple of oh shit moments. But that was probably like my heart really when she put the X-ray vision on. I was like my heart started to kind of like beat a little faster because I was like, oh shit, and sure enough, there you go.
Yeah. And to your point, I wondered why the hell that helmet was just sitting there, kind of discarded, and how she was able to just pick it up and use it so easily. But I don't know. It's one of those things I'm willing to hand wave away just because the show is good enough, and I'm enjoying it so much that I'm willing to overlook it. It's built up enough goodwill that I'm really willing to overlook the little things when it comes to this series. There's really nothing I haven't liked about it, to tell you the truth. I don't really have any gripes when it comes to this show so far.
I wouldn't say it was a gripe, but it was like one moment where like my disbelief
where you kind of were like
wasn't like suspended for a second. It was kind of like because it kind of like breaks some like rules of these kind of
potentially it does, yeah.
So, but the show I don't like hold it against the show at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. But yeah, it was terrifying when Myrn not only realized that he got, but he turns on Adebayo, and boy, I hope she's still in play. Whatever's happened to her, maybe she's a butterfly now. But yeah, that was a harrowing last scene that we got here. What a cliffhanger.
Shawn?
Yeah, as far as the helmet, I think I could play it off that none of these characters are super smart. We already know that Chris isn't smart, so he just randomly leaves his helmet just laying around. So I think it kind of. I think it kind of.
They're all fuck-ups, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're all fuck-ups, and it kind of plays it in the narrative. So I'll definitely forgive it. This cliffhanger is something. And you're right. Like the minute you put on that helmet, Andy, I was like, oh shit. And the chase was really kind of frightening, and then you see him on top of her, and then that's it. And you're like, that's like a classic, just great cliffhanger to, oh shit, is she dead? To Tim's point, is she going to become a butterfly? I don't think she's dead, but I do think there's going to be something coming out of this. But yeah, really, really great way to end the episode this week, I thought.
All right. So we got 3 more to go. So what do we want to see? What do we hope we see? What do you think we'll see? Obviously, we just talked about like what we think it could pick up at, but Shawn, what do you think's going to happen in the next couple of episodes? Like obviously this show has been so popular and really well regarded. It's going to be back for another season. So we'll talk about that, in a few weeks, but what do you think we're going to see over the next episode or 2?
You know what's great about this show, Andy? I have no idea. And that's what I really truly like. Like all the other shows we talk about, hey, what do you think we're going to see? What do you want to see? And it's kind of like, well, I think we'll see this, we'll see that. I'd like to see this. You know what? I'm just enjoying the ride, and I don't have to overthink what's going to happen. It takes me for a ride every episode. Every episode has been very enjoyable. And ultimately what I want to see is how they're going to resolve this butterfly issue, because obviously the majority of the population are butterflies at this point. So I guess we got to figure out where that's going to play out. I guess we kind of got to see out what plays out with Cena's or Chris's father. I think there's still a little bit of a mystery on what's going on with his brother as well. We have the mystery of the Amanda Diary and what that's all about. So there's a lot of nuggets there. Just watch it play out. But for me, I don't want to think about it. I'm just going to enjoy each episode and see where it takes me. That's where I'm at.
All right. Tim?
I am very much of the same mind as Shawn. It's just really refreshing, and I think I said this in our last episode, to have a show that I'm enjoying this much, but to not come at it with any fixed expectations or preconceived notions or baggage, or because it's adapted from something that I'm either super passionate about or just too close to, like let's face it, like a lot of Marvel stuff. That's not the case at all with this show. I'm not overly familiar with the characters, and they're also telling a pretty original story. This doesn't really have a comic you can track down and read and go, okay, well, this is how they did it in the comics. It's really doing its own thing. If I can make one bold prediction, I don't know why I think this, but you guys tell me how you feel about this one. I think before we see a Harcourt Peacemaker hookup, which I'm not even convinced we'll necessarily see this season, I think she's going to hook up with Vigilante and have like a drunken one night stand, only because it would be so pitiful, and it's like the worst possible decision she can make sexually, right? And it will be a source of tremendous self-loathing and comedy. Obviously, I don't know. I got a vibe from them, the way they sort of paired off this episode and worked together, and the fact that she actually smiled at the end of the mission and seemed pretty satisfied with the work they did, which is certainly rare for her. I don't know. I feel like it's going somewhere, and that's going to be like a little mini twist. For some reason, I just see it happening.
I could totally see that. You know what? That actually makes a lot of sense based on what we saw in this episode. I could definitely see that happening, and just added that to the kink of Cena's really into her, and she's technically into him, but maybe she ends
up, yeah.
Her and Vigilante just get freaking snockered, and they end up having sex. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's like at the restaurant where he works or something at the bar, and he's closing or whatever, and one thing leads to another.
Oh, one thing to add, Tim, I guess I didn't put 2 and 2 together of him being Adrian Chase, right? And so it's like the difference in this Adrian Chase and a difference in the Arrowverse Adrian Chase is night and day. It's very like that's why I didn't put 2 and 2 together and realize that's who the character was at first.
Yeah,
so it's a shock.
Yeah, well, I don't know anything about the character other than I know that that's an established character, but I never read him in any of the DC comics or didn't watch Arrow, so it's just one of those things where I'm like, it's all new to me, basically.
Well, this is a better one. The one on Arrow is way more serious, and this one's just kind of a Fruit Loop, so it's definitely very different. Very different. So.
Well, we know he did not go through puberty until his mid-20s.
And by the way, so Tim, you know who Vigilante was created by, right?
Do I? I don't know that I do.
Wolfman and Perez.
Okay.
Yeah. So
wow,
in Teen Titans, his debut was in the Teen Titans in 1982. So.
I didn't realize he went back. I didn't know he had that kind of history.
Yep.
I would have thought he was
had his own series too. Had his own comic series too.
No shit.
Just a tidbit. Okay. Just adding comic nerdom here for you guys.
A full service podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got the drop. We got the drop of a creator name at the start of this episode. They mentioned Alan Kupperberg, who was some kind, I don't know, in the show they said he was some kind of like billionaire, or seemed like a Jeff Bezos type who went missing with an heiress or some crazy story. And he was a comics artist from the 70s and 80s. Not the most acclaimed, but a name that you would recognize if you read a lot of comics of that era.
Yep.
And I have no idea why they pulled that name of all creators, but I don't know. Did he die recently or something? I don't speculate.
No idea. Listen, James Gunn, I think, is just a pure 100% comic nerd, and that's probably what it boils down.
No, Alan Kupperberg died in 2015. So, yeah, I mean, as far as I know, he doesn't have much to do with any of the characters in this show. I mean, he probably drew them at some point, but just one of those weird deep cuts.
And we love deep cuts here on Pop Goes to the Couch. All right, so that's going to bring a close to this episode of our coverage on Peacemaker. But we'll be back 1 week from now as we talk about episode 6 as we get to the end of the road for season 1 of Peacemaker. For Shawn Kidd, Scott Shifflett, and Tim Capel, I am Andy Atherton. Thank you for joining us on Pop Goes to the Couch, and we'll check you out next week. Take care.